Hey everybody, Nomalanga, Mhlauli-Moses with SuccessfulBlackWoman.com here. I'm here with my good friend Shaquita Graham with AtechoWeb.com. How you doing, Shaquita?
I'm doing good, Noma. How are you?
Excellent. So today's topic is Mr. Daymond John. Really well known because of Fubu. I happen to know him because of Shark Tank. He's one of the stars on Shark Tank. And just a few days ago, he announced his engagement. And of course, there's an uproar because here we go again with another black man overlooking all the sisters and picking Heather, who happens to be a white woman. What are your thoughts and reactions?
Well, I mean, I really don't get up in arms about it too much because it is what it is. We know that in this society, there's a buffer class of, a lot of people call them Negropians or Black Anglo-Saxons, who live to support the image of white supremacy, and they bow to that, and that's even almost like a form of religion to them, an idol that they want to emulate. I'm going to share the article just so we can provide some greater context here. This is from Us Weekly. This is Heather, longtime girlfriend Heather. And, but what I did love, well, first, let me just say that my favorite book on this subject is The Interracial Con Game by Umoja. And she says that it's a fact that during the Jim Crow era, a racial caste system which operated primarily in the South between 1877 and 1960s, Black males and females were not allowed to show affection or kiss in public because it offended whites. So that says everything to me. If you are a type of person who is really into media, you're really into this system we have here, Black love is offensive to you. Thus, you would get with a white woman, I guess.
Right. I think, to me, what it always comes up as is the way that a lot of Black people want to assimilate, and the image that they hold of success and what is good. I always hear people say white is right, right? However, there is something to that, because when a person, at least in this country, thinks about the most successful person, they think about a white male. And then when you think about what a white male is doing, he's usually not working for anybody. He starts his own business. And then, of course, he marries a white woman and they live happily ever after. So unfortunately, you'll find that there are men who are not white, but they see whiteness as the epitome of success. And so when you decide or hold that image that, okay, I'm gonna be successful, you literally have in your mind a white male, and you'll do everything that he does. So that's not surprising, kind of like what you said, it doesn't really ruffle my feathers. Other interesting fact about Daymond John is that, I don't know how many people know this about him, but from what I understand, I don't know what happened to his own father, but his mother then started a relationship with a white man, a white Jew, and that's who raised Daymond. So again, who does he look up to? Who's his role model? Who taught him how to be successful? Who taught him how to navigate through life? It's a white man. So to me, it's not that surprising that that's the choice that he made.
Right. So, I mean, the bottom line, again, I'll say this over and over again because the mainstream narrative negates this, that most Black men and Black women marry one another. I think interracial marriages with a Black spouse and a white spouse are like 1% of all marriages or something like that. So it's not an issue that would get me majorly upset. However, I do see a push to try to indoctrinate many people with this idea, especially Black women today. So that's why I think it's important to talk about. And so what is the takeaway? What do? We have to reject this mind control, this propaganda. It's not about being against white people, but if we are fighting against the system of white supremacy, which we have been for centuries, number one, we cannot afford to merge our resources with theirs. I think it's, people have said that, diluting our gene pool has been a strategy of white supremacy for a long time. So I don't think we should engage in that. And then I think that it speaks to us having not as much self-respect for ourselves, because Frances Cress Welsing commonly said that she has done so many studies and she's asked white people, would you want your grandson or your grandchild to be Black? Would you want the generations after you to be Black? And they say no, which means they want to keep their genetic code pure, except for what they need from us to keep it strong. And then with Black people, they commonly want to erase their genetics. And that's why I love the topic that we're going to discuss related to the Black men who don't date interracially. So did you have any more to share on that before we talk about that?
No, go ahead and did you have a video, or is it just
I'm not gonna play the clip because I just don't want to have any issues, but I do want to make people,
any copyright issues, yes.
Right. I do want to make people aware that this video titled Black Men Who Don't Date Interracially, it's an hour-long video. I think it's a very interesting discussion and a very timely discussion, because I think we have to work diligently to reprogram our minds after we're being subject to so much propaganda. So this video is on YouTube, and we'll have the link in the description. But I love some of the things that they said. These very handsome brothers there, they had some interesting things to say. One said the reason why he won't date interracially and loves to date Black women is, he says, because he loves himself. He says, I love myself, and I've come to the conclusion that when you love yourself, you want to be with someone who mirrors yourself. I want seeds who look like me.
Right.
And that would be the opposite of someone who didn't love themselves. They wouldn't want to be with an image that mirrors themselves.
Absolutely. I was just going to say something similar, which talks about self-respect and self-esteem and loving yourself. And it's not in an arrogant way. It's just truly knowing who you are as an African. Mm-hmm. And I know not everybody calls themselves Africans when they're Black, but I'm talking about all Black people everywhere, that they're Africans, and they understand what that means, and they understand how powerful they are. And you don't buy into that rhetoric or that narrative that tells you that you're less than, to the point where you feel like you need to go marry somebody from another race to validate you or to make you feel like you're something better than what you are. So when a Black man, stands there, or, they're sitting there and says things like that, that's amazing to hear, that they recognize that, yes, I love myself, and I want a woman who mirrors me, and I want kids who look just like me, because I am a God. And when you talk about a Black man being a God, you're talking about God being a force, a powerful force.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, Noma. I think you made a good point, and this is another reason why we bring it up, because I really don't have any kind of concern about white women taking Black men from us, especially not us, because we have two wonderful Black men as husbands. But I think it's important to bring it up because of the lack of self-respect that's intertwined with this idea that you should date outside of your race. And, like you said about the title of African, many Black African Americans will look at you kind of sideways, if not have a very serious problem with you if you call them African. I personally refer to myself as African because that's what I am. And so that to me is an indication that you don't either respect your heritage, understand the power that's in your heritage, and this leads us to a lot of the problems that we see. So another thing one of the young Black men said in the video is, he said, my mother gave me a good example, so I'm not tainted by negative narratives of Black women.
Right.
We know we have that in the media, and he says that doesn't taint him about who Black women are.
Right. And just in closing, I want to mention that we're going to continue this conversation at marriedwomensbiz.com, marriedwomensbiz.com. And like I said, in closing, I just want to reiterate that it's very, very important for us to have these conversations and to really grow our platforms, because what we're seeing is a result of media that doesn't embrace Africanness or Blackness. And they create these false narratives and all this rhetoric. And it's important for us to have our own conversations, our own platforms, and direct our narrative and understand who we are and speak loudly about who we are in our own platforms. So I want to say thank you, Shaquita, for joining me in this wonderful conversation. And like I said, the conversation continues in the Married Women's Lounge. Is it Married Women's Lounge? Yep, the Married Women's Lounge at marriedwomensbiz.com. Join me and Shaquita. Again, thank you, Shaquita. You can check out Shaquita at atecoweb.com. And of course, I'm Nomalanga Mhlauli-Moses with successfulblackwomen.com. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for watching.